We are going to do together Conquer Care and Management Sales and the 5 steps to close the sale. Closing is the hardest thing you'll ever do in sales, not in life. Maybe getting over COVID could be the hardest thing you're going to do. So we're going to do a little bit of COVID-19 and why, and also how to close the sale. And it will be on COVID-19 as well, a new product that we're going to have in the manual next month. So this morning, I'm going to repeat why I can do this really fast. I can do it because I've been teaching since 1967. I'm 75. I went to a teacher's college, Glassboro State Teacher's College. And I actually started teaching geriatric care and management in Berkeley and San Francisco State a long time ago. And because I wrote this Handbook of Geriatric Care and Management, which was actually a joint effort between a lot of care managers who are now retired, like me. I'm retired from care management. I don't own an agency anymore, but I do consult. And another book I wrote was Care Managers Working with the Aging Family, which is really about family systems, because you have to know the family system in order to enter it and get care for the older person. And the people who actually stop you are the family, often the people that hire you. So you have to know how to get care and rearrange that family system just enough to get the care. They'll go back to the same thing. The worst people in the family system are the siblings, and I wrote a book about that, Mom Loves You Best, and also published the first and I think the only operations manual. So that's why I can do this. And this is my co-presenter, Keith Kaminsky. He and I taught at the University of Florida, where he's still the main professor. And I have known him through there for years and years. He does half of this webinar and will go ahead and direct the questions. And he's with the University of Florida. He's also an active member of the Florida Aging Life Association, which has its hands full with the largest population of seniors in the country and also one of the highest rates of COVID-19. And hats off to what a great chapter they are, and the National Council of Certified Dementia Care Managers, which you all need to know, and the National Academy of Certified Care Managers. So what we're going to cover today is how to make the sale in the inquiry call with a complimentary consultation. A lot of geriatric care managers use this. It's a really good way to sell your products. All the products that you have in your menu of services or products, and also COVID-19, which we're going to explore. How to identify needs in the client through challenge questions, and how to find the problem, because that's what it's really all about. What's their problem? Why are they calling you? Where's their pain? To make that sale, you got to use that. How to present solutions. Yeah, because if you come up with a problem, you have to have solutions. This all happens in an inquiry. How to manage objections. They will come up in an inquiry. Concerns about price and product. How to close the sale, the most important thing of all. And suggestions about COVID-19 GCM services that you can offer at this time, because COVID is not only going away, but now we are have the largest number of COVID in the world, and we're probably very soon going to be banned in traveling to Europe because of our awful management of COVID-19, which means you may have to close again. So you need this. This is a technology service that you can do without going out into the home. There's, in aging life and geriatric care managers, you have two opportunities to close the sale. One is with the adult child who calls, and the next is with somebody who the third party referred. And the third party sometimes calls you, but usually they will refer someone because you've marketed to them. So the calls come in that way. And you need what I will call over and over again an experienced staff member who they don't just have to take inquiries, but only the inquiries go to them, because it's a two-part inquiry. They get the first part because they are really good at doing this. Experience, not Ruby receptionist. Prepared procedures to exactly, follow to do this two-part inquiry, and the ability to close the sale, which the experienced staff member doesn't. You, the big cheese, the person who owns the agency, does this. And today we're going to cover both. So what's closing a sale for a care manager? Simply to have the client sign the contract and give you a deposit, and do it over the phone. And I'm going to show you how you can do that, but you probably already know. You probably send contracts out through Docusign and use PayPal. And this is the strategy for the two-part inquiry call. Call one. There's two parts to the call one. The very experienced person who we have over here on the left needs to do an assessment with tactical questions, and I will explain that. And then she also, or he, needs to understand the client and the care providers, both parties, both family members, their problem. Problems are key to understanding the client's needs and then getting the client to sign your contract and give you a deposit, close the sale. And call number two is done by you, the care manager director, only you, because you're the best and they only want the best. Offer a free complimentary consultation. And then you're going to go through it and then present a MiniCare plan. You're not going to give the store away. This MiniCare plan is going to answer the problems and give solutions, because this is a solutions-based agency that you run. You do solutions. You solve problems, you do solutions. So that's the two calls. And the old inquiry format is, Jerry, I'll just use making somebody up as usual. Geriatric care manager Charlotte Fixstuffs gets the inquiry on the phone. She gets the basic demographic information, a little bit about the problem, and then she drives an hour out to Tara Tornado's home to meet Tara's daughter, even gruffer, Hilda Hurricane, and she spends 3 hours explaining her services, doing a full geriatric assessment, and then asks Tara and Hilda to sign the contract and give a deposit, and they say, well, no, they're not ready to move forward. What has Charlotte Fixstuff lost? She semi-fixed their problem, but came up empty-handed. What's wrong with this picture? The strategy of a two-part inquiry that works is how you avoid traveling 2 hours, spending 3 or more hours with a client, talking to the daughter. You always want the family to be there, and the client, and doing a geriatric assessment and getting nothing. You are empty-handed and your bank is not, getting filled. And so we've got to fix this picture, and that's what the two-part inquiry is about. So you do the inquiry over the phone in 30 minutes in a complimentary consultation, and you close the sale. You ask for that's what closing a sale is. You ask for the contract and the deposit, but you get it over the phone. And you don't drive to the client's home without getting a signed contract and a deposit first. So that's what we're looking for here. So what does it take to do a successful inquiry? It takes two aging life geriatric care management areas of expertise. It takes, first of all, you got to know what you're doing. Knowledge in the field, experience in the field. You got to read books. You have to, hopefully go to the University of Florida and get a certificate. BU University has a certificate. Or, you know, study gerontology in school, get a master's in that, and then get a certificate after that. That's the best way. But people come from all different areas of healthcare, and some business, but only 3% of ALCA people are business people, which is the big rub. But the thing you really need that nobody taught you in school or, and even in these certificate programs is how to close the sale, because it was never followed through that the business of geriatric care management was taught. ALCA does a little bit of it, but not really enough. And so, we come into it as giving people, and you've heard me say this over and over again, we're mostly women. We give things away. We throw the baby out. When it screams all night, we don't do that. We take care of everybody. And so it's not in our hard wiring to sell things. Don't sell to the baby. Don't sell to your husband. And you don't want to sell to the client, but here you are, you have a business. So what does it take to do a successful inquiry and close a sale? It's the deal breaker is most care managers do not know how to do successful inquiry. That's why I'm here, and close the sale. So that's what we're going to talk about. You need a sales background to get the client to sign the contract, and that's what we're going to talk about, to give you the deposit. And you need to learn sales and a background and have start doing it, get a background in it. And that's critical because it's the blood of your aging life business, because it's a business. You need money to keep on coming in. It's, the business is like Audrey the plant. Audrey's saying, feed me, feed me, feed me. And she wants blood, but your business wants money. That's the blood of the business. You got to keep feeding it. And the most important part of the inquiry is your ability to close the sale, because then you get the money to feed Audrey or your business. So you got to ask for a deposit and get the contract signed. That's closing the sale and add to the bottom line of your business. So what does it take? It takes liking sales, which most of us hate. We don't like it. We didn't go to school to do that, to be a PT, OT, nurse, social worker, recreational therapist, any of that stuff. We wanted to help people. Nobody taught us business. My School of Social Welfare in the University of California at Berkeley was right next to the Haas Business School. Do you think any classes came over to Berkeley's School of Social Welfare? No, they wouldn't let them, because the program was designed to meet the needs of the poor. Care management, is a form of social work, and it meets the needs of, people who pay as well. All right. Mad at Berkeley, of course. So you need a background in sales, critical to aging life. So you're going to ensure that you help your aging life clients, which is really what you want to do, because you joined a private aging life business to help older people. I just said that. And you can help them if you just get them as your client, and you're really good at this. But in order to successfully help older people, you have to know how to sell the product. You have to be a salesperson to close, and you know a lot more about it than you think you do, and I'm going to explain all that. So, understanding and getting better at sales, because you got to learn it and then you have to keep practicing it, is actually intuitive, and you don't understand that. And that's what I'm going to go over to a GCM practice, because what you do is a needs assessment. We all know, social workers know how to do that. Nurses don't call it that, but they do, a physical assessment of the client. I mean, part of it's they're taking your blood pressure and your oxygen level and all that stuff. But they're asking questions about, where does it hurt? How long does it hurt? Where, what are, have you fallen? They always ask you that if you're older. They ferret out the information. That's a needs assessment. You already know how to do that. That's what you do in sales, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So you do a needs assessment. You use strategic and analytical questioning to find out the main problem. Where's the pain? It's pain, just like the nurse is finding out and the social worker is finding out. Where is the pain in the care provider specifically and in the older client? So you're finding out 2 points of pain in order to be able to make the sale. And that's important. So you already know that. And then the next thing you do, among other things, is you put together a MiniCare Plan. And you know how to do that. It's not the big giant care plan that you do. It is only a mini care plan, just answering, maybe one problem, because there's going to be many, to prove to the older person, and it's usually not the person who chooses the adult child, that you know what you're doing, and you're doing that in the complimentary consultation. So you're doing it, for free 30 minutes. And you then you've shown them you can solve problems. You're Sherlock Holmes or his wife, Mary. There's a whole series of books about Mary, Sherlock Holmes, by a writer here in Santa Cruz. And so you close the sale. Understanding and getting better is also, blocked by our real uncomfortable feeling about profitability is positive. And you say, oh no, Cathy, I don't feel that way. Well, a profitable business is a healthy business. That's true, because Audrey, your business needs to be fed blood money. And a healthy business is the only business that's going to survive. You're going to go bankrupt if you don't have enough money coming in. So it's crucial to care managers to comprehend and embrace sales. So we're going to do this in 2 parts. And we're going to start out with call number 1. And the adult child, like we said, always, usually calls in the inquiry. And the staff that answers the phone has to be high-touch, experienced staff. No untrained staff for these experts. Ruby receptionist is out. It's necessary for a complimentary assessment to, have the first part done by experienced staff member, not Ruby. And what you want to use to take all the information down is a CRM or a marketing database, customer relationship database. Relationship, you're creating a relationship with this person. With misexperienced staff member. And so she should be doing that, and you should be using a marketing database to take all that information. That's what it's designed to do, because it gives you all sorts of, prompts in there to put down all this information. And then you can pass it on really easily on to the case manager director, the big cheese. And examples of that, I'm not teaching technology, so, I don't have any skin in the game at this. Salesforce is a really good database if you use it for small businesses. ACT is something I used forever, 25 years. I liked it. Zoho is another one. I don't have any feelings about any of this, except I'm giving you some ideas, and you enter the inquiry into that database. And you respond to inquiry call this way. Don't delay. Don't ever delay. And, I always use my experience. I used to do a lot of competition surveys for individual geriatric care managers. I don't do those anymore. But when I would do them, I would be calling people who would be driving, they answered the phone while they're driving and yelling at traffic and trying to get somewhere, and they didn't have time to talk to me. I was calling, as a secret shopper. And so they said they call me back, and they never did. Don't do that. Have a designated person to answer the phone, a designated line as well. Don't mix it up with your other lines. And then the misexperienced person fills out your inquiry form in your CRM database, and they ask what the main problem is that prompted the call about the client, and then they go on to themselves, the care provider, and they get also demographic information, name, address, type of housing, the family structure, married, unmarried, all that stuff. That's not a geriatric assessment. That's demographic. And then they begin to use tactical questions. They're doing this needs assessment, and they want to help the geriatric care manager director in the second call understand the problem, because she or he has to do a MiniCare Plan. So the director needs to know the problem, create the solution in the MiniCare Plan. So they're going to ask questions like the client's current condition, how, when did they really discover this problem, with empathy, and also, having a background in doing this, really, having experience in inquiries. And, this is just, for ducks, an example. We are really familiar with working with dementia, moving clients home from the hospital, home care, non-medical home care, which is a little bit different than, say, 24 hours, quality of life, especially with COVID-19, because people, are isolated, lonely, et cetera, death and dying. Hospice is a great client, medication assessment, all the main services that you should be offering, or products in your menu of services. So we're really familiar with all that. Tell me some background about it. When did you first notice it? What led you to, feeling that you needed to call a professional? What kind of family support do you have in it? The 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 horrible, like, pus and goo is going to pour out there, because usually they're the main, the designated care provider, and they're mad at their siblings, or they want more help and don't know how to ask for it. And then what do you need as a caregiver to take care of yourself? And that's getting to their problem, because in the MiniCare Plan, the care manager director is going to have to address both of those things. And what are some of the challenges you're facing with your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your neighbor? What are some of the challenges you're facing in your own life, with your spouse, with your children, et cetera, as a caregiver? Are you chasing diapers and that's repulsive to you? That's okay. I didn't want to, my dad lived with me for 20 years. In the last several years, he, was incontinent. My husband took care of all that, because I didn't want to change his diaper. And, you're free to do that. You have a choice. And that's what care providers don't understand. They do have choices. So what's the most important problem you'd like us to solve? These are all important questions. And then you come to an urgency question. How soon are you wanting the care manager to be engaged in this, solve this problem? And the importance of call number one: clearly, problem is key in both care provider and care receiver. And that's important for call number two, because, again, I just said this. Care manager director's got to do a MiniCare Plan, for you, and also for you to get the complimentary consultation. So this takes listening skills and it takes prompting skills, because you're prompting them, to talk about, the support they're getting from their family, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of this first call, you're going to explain the cost. And in a decision tree, which you should be familiar with, usually the decision tree will lead to the person who can't really afford you not to do the second call. But the decision tree may lead, when you ask this, the person may say, well, that's a fair price. However, I'm not ready to really move yet. And then the decision tree puts them in a pipeline. And a pipeline is where you keep all the clients that really still are interested, by sending them the newsletter and having at least 5 touches in the next couple of months, so that you can call them again and when they're ready. And at that point, after you've made that cost of services decision tree, move people around, you offer this free complimentary consultation, you being the extraordinary experienced staff member who specializes in inquiries. And the complimentary consultation is on your website. Put it on there. A lot of care managers do this. It's free. It's 30 minutes, no longer. And you tell them that the most important person in the agency, the big cheese, the care manager director, is going to call them back with a complimentary consultation. That's usually important to, especially the top 10%, because they only want the best. But doesn't everybody deserve the best? And you're the best. And so if they say yes, you say you'll schedule it, and the care manager director will call back. I like calling back much earlier than 24 hours, but 4 hours, 5 hours is okay. Don't take the call at 6 o'clock at night and call back at 8, 4 in the morning. But then you're going to schedule it. So then call number 2 happens. The inquiry before the call, when the inquiry comes in your CRM database to the care manager director, she or he is going to take some time, and they're going to take time before the call to put together this MiniCare plan. But they have to know, as I'm saying over and over again, repeating myself, the problem, and to be able to come up with a solution based on a product that you have in your menu of services. Have that menu of services, because all these descriptions are going to be in there. It makes it really easy to do the care plan if you have great descriptions of all in your menu of services or menu of products. So they can, take the time to put together the solutions in, with the problems in this MiniCare plan, and then answer challenges. And the first thing you start with at the care manager director is you're going to do an elevator pitch. And this happens in 3 parts. First are features, and features are just facts about your agency. And you do this really quickly. It should be on your website too. Well, not necessarily your price. That's up to you to put it on there. But, how long you've been in business, the experience of all your care managers, the experience of the care manager director, information like that. But features don't sell. That's not how you sell. You sell through benefits, and I'm going to go into that right now. But that's the reason the customer might want to be selling. So you get, you come up with the benefits of the product they want, not general geriatric care management benefits, because, it's unholy, really is, that after 30 years, nobody knows what care management is, because we changed the brand. A number of other things are true, but the agents, ALCA hasn't grown for 30 years, still has 2,000 members, and so it's not known like Kleenex. So you want to offer the benefits. I'm going to show you how to do that, and then the differentiator, because you've done a competition survey, and if you do it now, my father used to say, do it now. He never, he joked about that. He was not, a heavy duty father. But do it now. Uh, in the competition survey, you're going to find out exactly why and it's called positioning, all the things about your competition. That's what you're finding out. Price, do they answer the phone well? Do they do a written geriatric assessment? Do they have home care? What's their customer service like? On and on and on. What are their products specifically? And then you want products that they don't offer, and you want customer service they don't offer. Don't, you know you have this very advanced, experienced person answering the phone that devotes all their time to you and the client, and you want that. So find out, how to position yourself, and then explain to them why you're a better choice. And that's got to be done quickly. Before the call, know the benefits. So I'm going to show you how to do benefits. And the easiest way to do this is my so what version. I didn't invent this. I got it from somebody else. So the GCM, this is the feature. Our GCM is going to assess the right level of care and evaluate the possible moving site. And we're talking about a moving product now. It could be anything. Here is the benefit. So what? We're going to take the burden off the family so the family can just be family. That's really what they're interested in. You're going to do the work. They don't want to argue with their mother. I mean, you need to come in and sort of not mediate, but facilitate, problems about moving. But you're going to have a full court service that does things for them that they won't have to do. That's a benefit. Second feature, you're going to present good, narrow choices to the client and the family of, places they could move, because you're going to assess the level of care. You're going to find a similar level of care. You're going to find, the place near the doctor, the place that has bingo. You're going to do a part of a moving assessment. So you do it all. But so what? That's just a fact. Everything is done by the GCM. So the family only has to make the final choice. They not only get to just be the family, but you've come up with 3 perfect choices for them. And that's a real benefit, because they still have power, but you've done all the grunt work. Okay, third, we do the post move so the family can, help the older person feel comfortable, or if it's another care manager in another area, Alka does that all the time, then the newer care manager will do that. Why? Because the post move is the hardest part. Older people, here they are, it's like being in college with a dormitory, only that everybody's old. They may not like being with just old people on a dormitory floor. They lost all their friends. They couldn't bring all their favorite furniture because it's smaller. This is like Mars to an older person. So what? The benefit is your aging mom, through our post-move services, won't want to move out. You won't have to do this all over again, neither will she. That's what benefits are. They're the so what at the end. And we all love them. The care manager director is going to put this MiniCare Plan together. She's going to do, these 3 things that I just asked: the elevator speech, the benefits, and the MiniCare Plan. And she's going to call back and really in a few hours or sooner. You should be able to, once you get this down, to do it and if you have a menu of products, because it makes it really easy. The language in this MiniCare Plan, it can't it has to be empathetic, but you can't have a lot of, we feel your pain here, because, really entitled people, they don't care about that. Claudia Fine taught me that, the person, who had Senior Bridge and moved it into Humana, and also, has a huge background in psychotherapy. Really wealthy people, and Nick Newcomb, one of my favorite people of all time, who was her partner, and then you know that all moved on to Humana, but Nick is great. And they both said all the really wealthy people ever want is outcomes. They don't want to hear about, you're going to make them feel better. They just want an outcome. And so you give them outcomes in this solution-based MiniCare plan. So you give this elevator speech, you present the MiniCare plan, you present the benefits to the older family and the care provider. Oops. And then you close the sale. Here it is. We're getting to the end here. Are you ready to take the next step? Now, I know that sounds like car salesman, but it's always, it works in care management, usually in all sales. And what you want to know is, are they going to pay, which is the deposit. A deposit, usually in a care management case, if you do home care, it's the first month of home care, because people can stiff you if they don't like you, especially the rich. But if you're, just doing straight care management, you estimate what would be the first month of care management. And in my operations manual, I have a whole grid, an Excel spreadsheet that you can present. It's a budget for the first month, estimating through all of your different services how much it's going to cost the first month, because there's a mess. That's why they called you. Second month, you're making it a lot better. Third month, you're making it as good as it could be before it takes the next dive, because they're aging. So, ask for, sort of what their guesstimates, what the guesstimate of the first month. And will they sign the contract? Will they do the deposit? And if they say yes, yay, the director will ask the administrative assistant to send on risk pretty much immediately through Docusign. I really like Docusign. You can use Adobe too. I got tired of Adobe. It was too hard to use. And then the service agreement goes out, and you have to have that prepared ahead of time. Everything prepared ahead of time, please. Don't do things on the fly. And then you request a deposit through Vermo, PayPal, Google Money, Apple Money, whatever money. Get money fast. And then you close the sale. So let's go into COVID-19. And I've been, I talk a lot about products because this is one of the mantras that I have. You have to offer products. You have to offer what people are really wanting, because care management is still really unknown. So, people call you for, obvious reasons. The mom wants to move. Mom needs home care. Mom's going in the hospital and needs to come out. In this case, mom is afraid of COVID. The child's terrified for her. She's staying at home, sheltering in place. And so I'm going to give you some products for COVID, because COVID is rapidly spreading through the U.S., especially through the Southwest and into the West. It's increasing in California, where I live, not Northern California, where I live. We have been closed down since the end of February. I know a lot about sheltering in place. I have a third of an acre that we bought in the 70s, so it's not like I'm rich. But in Santa Cruz, that used to be available, because where I live, it used to be the biggest chicken raising area in the country. And then they zoned out the chickens and cut the place up like it was nuts. Some, designer on acid, planner on acid did it. And I ended up buying a house with 1/3 of an acre. But I have a lot of room to move out here. But I am sheltering in place. My husband is 80. He's going to be 80. We hang out here. So you have a lot of, COVID really spreading. And, example of that I used before is Europe is going to shut down us coming over there because we have the highest rate in the world of COVID. And the second wave is coming. I'm not a virologist, but viruses have a pattern. They have something they follow. And you can't predict this. I mean, you can predict it's going to happen, but you can't have any impact at it except to wear a mask and 6 feet apart. That's what California's been doing in Northern California. But this second wave is coming to us all. It happened in 1918. It happened during the bubonic plague, plague after plague every century. And this second wave, like 1918, is really virulent because the virus sort of hybridizes. I'm not a virologist, but it learns to get stronger when two different types go together. They have a little merger, and that's what's going to happen in the fall. And it's also seasonal. The southern hemisphere is, seething in it right now, and we actually are too in the south. So the financial losses in business are titanic. That's why we're almost going into a depression. And in geriatric care management, I teach 2 classes. Almost no one has, had a business at all for the first 3, from March to May and June, and now it's opening up a little bit, but people really don't want you in your house. And when the second pandemic comes, they don't want you in their house at all. So you need telehealth, and you can do these COVID-19 products through telehealth for the aging family calling in if you learn this expertise. And I'm going to go over some of the expertise. But 2 big ones are moving someone from the hospital because the actual survival rate is going up now. The survival rate was terrible when it was in New York and New Jersey and the East Coast, but now it's getting much better. So people can get out of hospitals alive, not a lot, but some. And SNFs, people just want to get out because 50% of all deaths in COVID-19 are horribly, truly in nursing homes because they don't have PPE. I could go on forever. Read my blog. I rage about it, and we all need to rage as aging experts about why older people are left without PPE and infection control, and care providers that are not fairly paid and so have to work 3 jobs and spread it and die themselves. So you already know how to have a service like that in many instances. You know how to discharge from a hospital, so and you're gonna have to learn through CDC website and some other, really, like the Red Cross has a good website. Particular things about COVID and discharge. Arranging in an ambulance is still the same, and you'll have to have that as a procedure. Arranging a caregiver staffing, but this is going to have to be different because it's not just caregiver staffing anymore, it's COVID staffing. So you're going to have to talk about and put this on your website, what you do to keep those care providers safe. Do you take their temperatures every day? I'm pointing to my head because you do it with like a little temperature thing that goes on your head. And or obviously you've got to use masks, wash your hands, after every encounter. Do they wear gloves? Do they wear PPE? Did you buy all the PPE? Explain all that and enforce it, because you don't want your caregivers and your clients dying. You won't get any, Won't go into that. You need to know how to set up a patient's room with COVID-19, because it's very, very specific in that they can only use one bathroom because it is a highly infectious virus. You have to order all the DME and medical supplies. You need to know about the diet with COVID-19. You need to know especially about infection control, because you have to maintain infection control so no one else in the house is going to get it. If they're going to come home to their own home, you are going to need a staffing, and they can come home to their own home with your staffing, so they'll have geriatric care management. You can explain all that in your pricing, etc. But bathrooms and cleanliness and the rest of the house has to be done. You need to know social engagement, quality of life, because as these people get better, they need more social engagement, both through technology and technology that older people can use, and also non-technology ideas about, socializing with the care providers, having quality of life built into your training of your care providers. You need to know, if they need testing, again, where do they get testing? Do they go back to the ER? ERs right now in the South, for instance, are so overwhelmed. They have non-COVID and COVID people in the ER right now because the surge is there. They can barely cope in hospitals. So, where can they get a test? For instance, I thought I had COVID. I was really sick for about a week and a half and had a lot of symptoms. And I got a hold of the national website that I know about in Santa Cruz County. It has everything in the country. I was able to fill out a form to have to be scheduled for a test. I was never scheduled. They never even scheduled me, and I had all these symptoms. I thank the Lord, go to Stanford Hospital. My husband just had open surgery there just in the nick of time before COVID started. So I called up Stanford. They said, come on up. I got in the car with my husband. They did the test. They got it back in less than 24 hours. No, I didn't have COVID. But if I hadn't had that hospital, God knows what would happen. So you got to find out, where are the testing sites, and that's all on the internet. So you have to do a lot of research on the internet. What is the general cleaning policy for like your housekeepers as well? I mean, there's so much to it. And so that's a service you can offer. And then sheltering in place, that's really a big sheltering in place is a big service you can offer, because the family, that if they live locally, they're really afraid that the older person will get COVID. And so, you have to have a package, usually a 1 to 5 hour package. And this probably takes about an hour, but then, you're talking to the family, so it could take 2, and it's prepaid. So what you have to do with the sheltering in place with the older person is have an assessment that you can do with telehealth, figure out the telehealth program that is that you can use, like Zoom, that's HIPAA compliant and is within your affordability. There's about 9 other programs besides Zoom. Where the testing is, I talked about what are the symptoms that the person who's sheltering in place needs to look for that makes them call and schedule a test. Safety, throughout the home for the older person who's, just general safety, like you would do a home assessment that you would do normally. Teach social connectivity, I already talked about that, increase quality of life. Advanced directives, when it got so horrific in New York State, especially in the city, and the hospitals were just surging, and people, the ambulance came all the time. They actually, you didn't even have the time to go over the advanced directives if they had them. So you want to do that with sheltering in place way early. and have, COVID-19, you have to know how to do it fast. It can't, they probably don't have time to do a lawyer. So there's all sorts of things on the internet where you can get that done fast and legally. Infection control for the house, and usually the family is going to come over. So, what the family needs to watch for symptoms. And, it's a good gateway to get a client. And then the last one is a long distance family, which is, a lot of geriatric care managers work with long distance family because the family isn't there, obviously. And there's 3 services you can offer them. One is sheltering in place safely, but the family isn't there. So there's a lot more that needs to be done, and the geriatric care manager probably needs to do that. You need all sorts of COVID-19. You also have to be an essential service. You have to make sure that you go through your health department and get yourself designated as an essential service. And also, be part of that health department. They usually have open meetings once a week with all the essential services, so you can learn more about the numbers in your county and your city, and what to look for, what's hospital, all that stuff. And then the second service is discharge from the hospital with a long distance care provider. And then in the hospital, because even though I said a lot of people are getting out, a lot of people don't get out, and the family can never go in. And when I did this yesterday, one of the questions was, people didn't understand that, family can't go, nobody can go in the nursing home except the staff and the sick person or the old person in the nursing home. They don't necessarily always have COVID, but they usually catch it there. And so you need to be able to really, which you're really good at as a care manager, work from the family outside and know technology, because what happens now to say goodbye when a person is dying, the hospital will use technology like Zoom, and you have to get the technology in place. The care manager has to, for the family on the outside, to have this, last moment with their loved one. And it's incredibly sad. Usually when nurses talk about it, they just sob. And so you have to be there for the family, just like you would be for death and dying. And you want to teach the family support from the outside, which is, tricky. Technology for saying goodbye, and have all that information ready. And then teach the family health literacy, because they're still on the outside, but they have to feel like they know enough to ask questions and make the hospital and the nurse, even though they're really busy, like the squeaky wheel gets attention, get answers. So they're the various services that you could start to put together now. The country isn't all run over by it right now. And if you're in an area that, usually in the fall, you're going to need this. So I'm going to go through some offers, and I'm going to do this really fast. I always do this at the end. The first is an offer if you are interested in my operations manual. And I'm going to do this the so what way. So what you can do with the manual is you can start a new aging life care management agency or business with pre-made services and products. I've already done all the work. So what is the benefit? You don't have to do it yourself. I've done it for you. This manual has been out for 10 years. It's going into its 5th edition. It will have COVID services probably in another month, but right now it doesn't. But if you want to buy it right now, it's electronic, so I can send COVID-19 to you later. It'll be in about a month. and you can effortlessly onboard and train your entire staff at it, because it's a training manual. It's to train you and then train your staff. And then as you change the manual, because you should be changing it, you know, as you grow and change and add new services. It's got 14 services in it already. I keep saying you need products. They're products. And the so what is the gold standard service is really available for you to train. And I've already put it in there. So you can train all your employees through this, and you're only training them in one way, and that's the gold standard way. And so the training isn't coming out of your head, or, you know, it's all gold standard. And it's easy to open up a second agency, and the so what is you have a blueprint. You just, you know, use that blueprint for the first agency, which of course you're tinkered with, because the manual, you know, you can go in and, you know, put your logo obviously, and then it add new services, use services only the ones you like, not all the 14. But you have a blueprint for what you want in your second agency in your county or wherever. And it offers risk management, most important, because the so what is it avoids legal disputes and malpractice litigation, because you're using gold standard services and service delivery here. So it has, these are the, you know, the features. It has 14 services, a separate forms manual, comes to you electronically PDF. It also comes with a form. There's two manuals, the forms manual and the operations manual. The offer is $7.99 right now. It's usually $8.99, and you have to sign a contract because you're licensing my intellectual property. I don't do anything other than, if you start a franchise, I can legally dispute that. And it's available till July 4th, so you can think about this. And the second offer is I have a new My Geriatric Care Management Operation Manual course. If you feel like, you know, you can't just take the manual and do it yourself, because there's a lot in the manual. And this class is offered in Blackboard. It's taught by me. There's 20 PowerPoints in the 14 products, because there's 2 products, Home from the Hospital, that take 3 PowerPoints because it's pre-hospital, in the hospital, and post-hospital. And then Death and Dying, which goes through its 5 stages. So there's 20 PowerPoints. You get 20 hours of free consultation with me here. And about anything you want. I will, you know, go over the homework with you, but that doesn't take too long, and then you can ask, you know, anything about your business for me to help you. I'm just about to apply through CEUs through NACM. They finally said that I could do that, and ASBW, which is the Association of social welfare boards. So if you're a social worker, you'll get that. And there's free tech support, and that's really important, because that's, you know, that's why schools, like elementary schools, struggle right now, and colleges, because most professors haven't been trained in teaching online. And I've taught online at the University of Florida, but I'm not a technology person. So I have a technology assistant who's been with me for 5 years. She's fabulous, works in Silicon Valley, and will fix anything, any problem in Blackboard. And it's self-paced. It has 14 products and services, like the manual, because you're getting the manual for free. Comes with the manual and the forms manual. It also includes marketing with every single product. It teaches you not only how to deliver the product, but market the product, and a whole module about marketing. You get into a closed Facebook group where you can share information among yourselves. There's chat room requirement. This is a self-paced schedule. You can do it You can take 5 years if you want. I don't highly recommend that, but people are busy. They're usually working a second job because they've just started. Or they're busy being a care manager. So, it's a self-paced class, but because of the CUs, I need to require the chat room, and you get a bibliography, a syllabus, all the things you would get in an online class. And I'm experienced. I know how to teach online. I like it. I learned at the University of Florida. And the benefits are you're going to receive the forms and the operations manual and complimentary tech support. So what? It's a great deal. You get marketing material along with it. So what? You're going to make money, because that's how you make money, through marketing. It's going to make your agency more scalable, so you can open up a second agency. You can expand easily. That's what the so what benefit is. You save money and time, as care management staff have a reference and a training, so you can actually take vacations. Geez. And that used to be the most horrible thing in the world for care managers, because there was never a break. But you can train your staff so it can run by itself when you're on vacation and nobody's going to call you. And if you're sick, you can stay in bed and get better without people calling you left and right, because you have this training manual that you've already trained everybody on, and tells you exactly how to deliver everything and how to troubleshoot. And you can sell your agency for double the price. So what's the so what? You can retire and travel the world, if you can ever do that again. You certainly can't go to Europe right now. I'm laughing. I love Europe. I love especially Norway. I love London. I love Oxford. I've gone there many times and taken classes. Okay. To purchase the online class and the 2 manuals, it's usually $9.95. And for this particular webinar, it's $8.95. You need to sign that licensing contract, because you are getting the manual, and you can take up this offer till the 4th of July and get me there. And the last new class that I've been doing since the beginning of this year is an online business class, which nobody in the country is teaching. Anka does a little job of it, but this is literally soup to nuts, how to run a business for newcomers or somebody that needs to restart. So there's 10 modules in this with PowerPoint lectures. It covers how to do a competition survey, which I said you needed to do in the first place, and you need to do to start a business. It covers technology, all the things I didn't talk about today, your business plan, and I'm always going to give you, with all of this, a template. So I give you a template business plan. I give you a template competition survey. I give you a template timeline, so you'll learn how to do your timeline so you don't start backwards. Organizational skills, I would give you all sorts of job descriptions, and a way to get power in the beginning. You want gold standard care as the director, but how does that gold standard care in the manual get passed on down to the bottom, the most important person, which is really the care provider? So it gives you how to do an organizational structure that sends power down in gold standard care. Marketing and sales, you know how critical that is. I've just talked about this. Financial forecasting. When are you going to make money? It's really important. When do you break even? It gives you a way to forecast financially for 3 years. Billing, if you've ever done anything with me before, another one of my rants is bill 85%. And you really need to do that. It's basically because of cash flow. You bill the client at the beginning of the month, but you're probably not going to get the money until the beginning of the next month, and you've got 2 payrolls to make. Now, you may not pay yourself, which is really sad, but you got to pay your staff. So, and then office setup, how do you organize the opening? What kind of technical, like materials do you, I have a desk here, I'm in my office. I have a computer, obviously, a printer, the obvious things if you're going to set up a home office or if you're going to set up, brick and mortar. It comes with 10 consulting hours that are free that you can talk to me about anything, 10 PowerPoints, CUs, I've talked about that. Free tech support, I talked about that, and templates for all modules. So I never ask you to do anything that I'm not going to give you a template. I mean, I'm not going to do yours. I mean, it's just an example of how to do it well, and then you're going to follow that. And if you're interested, you can email me at cressgcm. And the benefits are, and the features, you'll choose the right technology. And so you don't have to guess at what you don't know anything about. That's the benefit. Financial forecasting, you can go to the, you can go get a loan from your mother because she wants to be paid back. The bank really wants to be paid back. Your brother wants to be paid back. And by doing a financial projection, you show them how you do this. You can do a timeline, and the so what is you won't do it backwards. you won't figure out financial forecasting before you even figure out what your competition survey says about the average price per hour. You do need to find that out in a complimentary consultation, but a lot of other things. So you do things in the actual order that you need them. You learn marketing skills, so you get clients. That's the benefit. You learn PR skills, so you get clients with free PR. And you can and that's the way you sign up adult children. It isn't really through marketing, it's through public relations. And I go really into that, how to do presentations. Now you do them through Zoom, but you can usually do presentations on really, important aging topics like dementia is the number one. That will draw an audience, and it's usually the adult children, and they can sign up and you can really get information out to them. So what PR, but radio does work. So anyway, and then learn how to bill 85% so you won't go bankrupt. So this is usually $650. It's $450. That's quite a deal. And I said 10 modules, one-to-one coaching with me, 10 hours of that, PowerPoint CEUs. And if you want recommendations about the class, you can go right here. I gave you the link for recommendations for the other class. And you need to email me because PayPal really only accepts the larger fee, $650 for everything, and I'm giving you a reduced fee. So that's the end. Thank you very, very, very much. I appreciate this, and we will meet again at my next webinar.